Good morning, I'm Kathleen Pate and this is my Alabama farm life. Today I'm going to show you how I make my own dog food for Justice. She seems to prefer people food, so that's what I do. I make her people food, but in a healthy doggy version. I start off with a 10-pound bag of chicken leg quarters from Publix. It usually runs about $7.99 for this big bag. I use my InstaPot and I usually get 2 batches. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my first batch and get it into the InstaPot.
If you see the joy in people that are saved, living through the trials and tribulations of this world, they have joy.
I add 1 cup of water to the chicken and I use the Poultry mode and I make sure that it's ready to go and to start steaming. Once it's done, I'll let it sit on low for another 20 minutes. The chicken is done, but I'm going to let it cool for a minute. And when I pull it out, I'm going to save all the broth and every last bit of chicken that I can. I'll let the chicken sit for a while, and once it's cool enough to handle, I go ahead and peel all that meat off the bone. And then I save the bones for bone broth later. Because this is for my dog, I also pull up the gristle and add it to the mix. I am very careful when I'm deboning these thighs because these little sticky bones are in there and you do not want your dogs getting a hold of those. That is a choking hazard. So make sure that you get all those nasty little pieces out. And even though this dish is for my dog, I am still going to practice clean hygiene methods when handling chicken. Studies are showing that a healthy homemade diet for dogs can extend your dog's life for up to 32 months. From this first batch, I've gotten about 3 cups of liquid and about 2 pounds of meat. And I'm going to go ahead and pour everything into my InstaPot.
They've been cooped up in here for a while. They are so stinking cute.
I'm going to add the chicken first. Then I'm going to put in 2 cups of rice on top of that. And then I'm going to add my liquid. I want to have 3 cups of broth. So if the broth doesn't come out to exactly 3 cups, I go ahead and add a little bit of water to make sure that I have enough liquid.
We have 2 of the best geese, I swear. They've never chased us or any of that stuff. Because we've done this before. They don't go up like the chickens. They don't just go back into their house just like the chickens do.
I'm going to give it a quick little stir, and then I'm going to go ahead and add vegetables. These were some old carrots that were in the refrigerator, and I'm going to use this frozen bag of broccoli. It's been in there for a while. Often I will buy cheap mixed vegetables and use them, or out-of-date vegetables from the cabinet.
Let's see. Feed the pigs. What's up, guys? Y'all starting to get a little late here. Maybe I'll bring you some fruit. These guys are normally terrible.
Once I have everything in the Instapot, I set it on the rice mode and let it go. While that is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and scramble up a dozen eggs. I use a little milk, maybe a little bit of salt, and if I have extra cheese, I'll put that in there also. In December of 2019, we discovered my dog Daisy had lymphoma, and one of the things that they suggested that I needed to do was to change her diet. I found a homemade dog food recipe and I started making it for Daisy. But once I started feeding her that diet, my other dogs wanted it too. This is the recipe that has evolved from that first one. When the eggs are done, I'm going to pour them into a big mixing bowl and chop them up. I let the rice mixture sit on low for 20 minutes and then I turn it off and vent. If I don't have any old vegetables or anything to put in the recipe, I'll often buy a large bag of frozen vegetables and use that as a substitute. But this broccoli and carrots look really great in this particular recipe. I'm going to let this cool for a little bit, and then I'm going to carefully pour it into the scrambled eggs that I have in this large mixing bowl. If you have an abundance of eggs like I do and you want to do 2 dozen eggs or more to increase the recipe, by all means, go ahead and add all the eggs you want. They are high in protein and really good for your dogs. Now, this is just my opinion and what makes sense to me, but I was listening to another gentleman make dog food and he insisted that you use a lean meat, but then turned around and said that dogs need fat and then added a vegetable oil to his recipe. For me, it just makes more sense just to leave the natural fats that's already in the meat that I'm using in my recipes. Not to mention all the fats and nutrients that are in the broth. Not only am I trying to be healthy for my dog, but I'm also trying to stay economical. And it may look like there's a lot of rice in here, but as I stir it up, you can see all the vegetables and the chicken start to pop out along with the scrambled eggs. This one batch will last me just about 5 days. I store it in a 10-cup container, and I usually have to go ahead and pull out at least 1 serving because it won't fit all into the container. Justice weighs over 70 pounds, so I try to give her at least 1 cup, if not more, twice a day. This is what one meal for Justice looks like. And no complaints here. She will eat this and then lick her bowl afterwards. This is a 10.7 cup container, and I fill it up, put on the lid, and I store it in our refrigerator. My second batch of chicken I store in a freezer bag and freeze, and I'll use that for another meal for another day. I am not going to waste anything. I'm going to take these bones and I'm going to make a bone broth, and I'm going to show a second recipe that's actually more economical. Bone broth is super healthy. It's full of nutrients, amino acids, minerals, collagen, and all kinds of good stuff that our bodies need. And if it's good for us, it's good for our dogs too. I've added about 6 cups of water to the InstaPot, and now I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the machine. I'm going to set the InstaPot on slow cook for 2 hours. Once the broth is done, I'm going to remove all the bones and try to keep all the little bits of meat that's still on it. I'm going to do 6 cups of broth, 3 cups of rice, and whatever leftover vegetables I have. And then I'm going to cook it on the rice setting, and this is what I have. Like the chicken and broth that I did previously, I'm going to go ahead and pack these up into 2 1-gallon containers and go ahead and throw them in the freezer. I fed Justice her last meal this morning, and so now it's time to make some more. So I'm going to go ahead and use the rice, set it out to defrost, and then I'm going to show you what I do next. It is dinner time and Justice is ready to eat. I'm going to pour it into my 10-cup container, and then I'm going to go ahead and break up all the rice. I have scrambled a dozen eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and pour this on top of my rice, my chicken broth, and my leftover vegetables.
Try to wiggle out of it. So we're going to get him to shave that beard and possibly wax it. I don't know if he's going to go as far as waxing, because I know that hurts, especially the last time they done it. If y'all haven't seen,
I'm going to give it a good mix, and then I'm going to put in the other half of the eggs and get it all incorporated. This makes almost 10 cups, but if you have more eggs that you want to use, go ahead. Use 2 dozen, use 3 dozen. Eggs are good for us. Eggs are good for our animals. I usually have an overabundance of eggs, and Justice likes them scrambled, so this is a win-win. It's also very economical. Remember, the only thing that I have paid for so far is the rice, and I can get a 5-pound bag of rice for $2.88. The chicken broth I made from leftover bones. The eggs are from my hens, from my overabundance of eggs. So this has been a really inexpensive meal. Using 10 pounds of chicken thighs, the rice, the eggs, leftover vegetables, or even frozen vegetables, I've been able to make over 40 cups of food for less than $20 using the 2 methods I have shown in this video. I think that's a win-win for my dog and my pocketbook. The eggs are warm, but the rice is still cold. I'm going to go ahead and fill up her bowl. I bought the plastic bowl specifically so that I could use them in the microwave. I'm going to add a little bit of water, and then I'm going to put it in the microwave for about 45 seconds, and then I'm going to serve. Was that good? Are you happy? Was that good? I also give Justice omega-3s. It helps with her joint stiffness in her back and her hips, and this makes me happy. She thinks it's a treat. Justice really enjoys her dog food, but sometimes even that's not enough for her, so I may add a little bit of bacon grease, some yogurt, maybe a little bit of sour cream, something just to spice it up a little bit that's doggy friendly. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and given you good information that you can use in your life with your best friends and companions. So that's going to be it for today. You guys have a great day.